She didn't know his name. She didn't know his face. But one long tap on her screen just signed her name into a world where people disappeared without goodbyes. At 11:47 p.m., the city outside Maya Carter's apartment window was unusually quiet. Los Angeles nights were rarely silent, but tonight felt different, like the air itself was holding its breath. Maya sat on the edge of her bed, phone glowing in her hand, heart still racing from a conversation she hadn't planned to have. She was 27, independent, exhausted in the way only someone juggling 2 jobs and too many responsibilities could be. Confidence was something she wore in public. Alone, it slipped off easily. She opened her gallery, hesitated, then selected the photos. They weren't meant for the world. They weren't even meant for permanence. Just from the man she had been talking to for weeks. Or so she thought. Her thumb hovered. Sent. The message whooshed away. A second later, her stomach dropped. The name at the top of the screen wasn't his. It was just a number. No, Maya whispered, sitting up straight. She tapped the contact again. Unknown number. No profile picture. No images. No nickname. Just cold digits staring back at her. Her breath shortened. She tried to delete the message. Too late. Delivered. Read receipts were off. For 30 seconds, nothing happened. Then the screen lit up. Seen. Maya's heart slammed against her abs. She typed fast. I'm so sorry. That message wasn't meant for you. Please delete it. The typing bubble appeared on the other side. Then stopped. Minutes passed. Each second stretched like a warning. She locked her phone, stood up, paced the room. This was embarrassing, yes. Dangerous? Probably not. Wrong number mistakes happened all the time. She tried to convince herself it would end there. Her phone buzzed. A single message. Who are you? She swallowed. Maya. I sent it by mistake. I apologize. 3 dots appeared almost instantly. You don't send things like that by mistake. Her pulse spiked. I do. Apparently. Silence again. Maya sat down slowly, dread creeping into her bones. Something about the tone, controlled, calm, almost bored, made her uneasy. Not angry. Worse. Curious. Another message came through. Where are you right now? Her fingers froze. That's not appropriate, she typed. Please delete the images and don't contact me again. She hit send and blocked the number immediately. Blocked. Done. Over. That's what she told herself. Across the city and far beyond it, someone else stared at the same images on a much larger screen. The man known only as Mr. Hen leaned back in his chair, expression unreadable. Around him, the room was quiet, respectful, heavy with authority. His men waited without speaking. They had learned long ago that silence pleased him more than noise. She blocked the number, one of them said carefully. Mr. Hen didn't react. His gaze stayed fixed on the screen. Interesting, he replied calmly. He wasn't offended. He wasn't amused. He was intrigued. In his world, people never blocked him. They begged. Trace it, he ordered. Yes, so within seconds, lines of data filled the screen. A name. An address. A life laid bare in bullet points. Maya Carter. Born in Oakland. Lives alone. No criminal record. 2 jobs. No known connections. An ordinary woman, someone muttered. Mr. Hen stood. Ordinary women don't cross into my world by accident, he said quietly. He walked toward the window, city lights reflecting in his dark eyes. For years, his life had been built on control over people, over fear, over outcomes. Nothing surprised him anymore. Until tonight. She thought she could disappear with a button, he said. No anger. No threat. Just certainty. He turned back to his men. Bring her to me. A pause. So should we be concerned about? She's not to be harmed, Mr. Hen interrupted. Not a scratch. Not a raised voice that made them exchange glances. This was new. I wanted to know, he continued, why fate chose her. Back in her apartment, Maya lay awake, phone face down on the nightstand, unaware that her quiet life had already cracked open. She thought blocking a number had saved her. She didn't yet understand, some messages don't end when you hit send. They begin. She was a black woman taught to survive America. He was a Korean man taught to rule silence. They were never meant to cross paths until one mistake made her unforgettable. Maya Carter woke up with the strange feeling that something had already gone wrong. It wasn't fear exactly. It was heavier. Like the quiet before bad news. Morning light spilled through the blinds of her small Los Angeles apartment. The city sounded normal: cars, distant sirens, a neighbor's TV too loud. Life was moving forward, unaware that hers had shifted off its axis the night before. She reached for her phone. No new messages. No missed calls. No unknown numbers. A slow breath left her chest. "I'm overthinking," she told herself. Maya moved through her routine on autopilot: shower, coffee, jeans and a hoodie. The mirror reflected a woman who looked strong even when she didn't feel it. Dark skin glowing despite exhaustion. Hair pulled back tight, like emerald. She'd learned early that in America, especially as a black woman, strength was expected whether you felt it or not. She locked her apartment door and headed to work. Across the ocean, in a place untouched by traffic noise or ordinary mornings, Mr. Hen's day was already in motion. His mansion sat high above Seoul, hidden behind gates and trees old enough to remember secrets. Inside, everything was quiet by design. Silence wasn't emptiness, here it was obedience. Mr. Hen stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows, hands behind his back, tailored suit flawless. He was Korean by blood and by discipline, raised on restraint, loyalty, and power earned without mercy. Emotion was weakness. Curiosity was dangerous. And yet, she left her apartment at 8:12 a.m., his head of security reported calmly. Same routine as usual. Mr. Hen nodded once. On the screen beside him, Maya's life was mapped with unsettling precision. Her jobs. Her commute. Her social circle small. Careful. Independent. "She blocked us," another man added. Mr. Hen's lips curved slightly, not a smile. Something sharper. "She thinks that ends it," he said. "It never does." "Do you want her brought in?" someone asked. He paused. "No," Mr. Hen replied. "Not yet." That answer surprised them. "In my world," he continued, voice low, "people rush to fear. I want to see who she is before fear touches her." Back in Los Angeles, Maya's shift dragged. Customers complained. Her manager rushed her. Her phone stayed silent, but that silence pressed against her nerves like a weight. During her break, she sat outside, scrolling mindlessly, trying to shake the feeling that she was being watched. Then she noticed it. A black sedan across the street. Too clean. Too still. She looked away, scolding herself. "You're paranoid." But when she glanced back up, it was gone. That evening, Maya took a different route home. She told herself it was nothing. She always did that: adjusted, adapted, survived. It was what she'd been taught. Her phone buzzed just as she reached her apartment door. Unknown number. Her blood ran cold. She didn't answer. Another vibration. A text. "I asked you not to contact me," she typed quickly, anger mixing with fear. The reply came instantly. "You contacted me first." Her fingers trembled. "Delete everything. This is harassment." A pause. Then, "You don't know who I am." She stared at the screen. "And you don't want to," the message continued. Maya's heart pounded. She should block the number again. Call the police. Do something. Instead, she typed, "Then leave me alone." 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. "That depends on you." Her door clicked shut behind her as she leaned against it, breath shallow. Something about this was wrong, deeply wrong. This wasn't a prank. This wasn't some random creep. This felt organized. Across the world, Mr. Hen watched the exchange in real time. "She's brave," he said quietly. "Or foolish," someone offered. Mr. Hen shook his head. "No. She's learned how to stand her ground in a place that doesn't protect her, that won't silence. She hasn't asked for money. She hasn't begged. She hasn't flirted," he continued. "She blocked me." A pause. "I respect that." The room shifted. Respect was not a word often used here. "What are your orders?" his security chief asked. Mr. Hen's gaze hardened, not with cruelty, but with decision. "Prepare travel arrangements," he said. "Discreet. No force to the U.S." The man clarified. "Yes, it beat. I'm going to meet the woman who wasn't afraid to say no." Back in her apartment, Maya sat on her couch, phone clutched in her hand, pulse racing. Every instinct told her she'd stepped into something far bigger than a wrong number. She didn't know his name. She didn't know his face. She didn't know that a Korean man raised in power was already crossing oceans because of her. She only knew one thing. Some mistakes don't chase you. They come looking for you. Some mistakes travel fast. Some mistakes travel across oceans. And she was about to find out just how far one message could reach. Maya Carter woke to the sound of her phone buzzing again. She froze. Already, her heart had learned to skip beats at every unknown number. But this time, it wasn't just a number. It was a single word flashing on the screen. Soon, her fingers hovered over the screen. Sweat prickled her palms. She didn't respond. Couldn't. Her instinct screamed that replying would be foolish, dangerous even. Yet curiosity gnawed her. Somewhere thousands of miles away, in the gleaming corridors of Seoul, Mr. Hen watched his team finalize the arrangements. Private flight. Discreet. No announcements. Every detail was meticulously planned. He studied her profile again. 27 lives alone in Los Angeles, works 2 jobs, independent, cautious, unafraid. Her independence intrigued him more than the mistake she had made. Most people would have panicked, cried, begged. But she had blocked him. That small act of courage or defiance was rare. Prepare the jet, he said, voice calm but carrying an edge of authority that silenced the room. His men obeyed without question. In his world, hesitation was punished, not tolerated. Back in LA, Maya tried to focus on work, but every sound made her flinch. The city felt different now, like the shadows were moving just out of the corner of her eye. Even ordinary things, streetlights, passerby conversations, the hum of a car engine seemed heightened. By evening, she returned home, exhausted but trying to push the day behind her. She poured herself tea and sat by the window, staring at the lights of the city. Her phone remained quiet. Too quiet. A shadow outside caught her eye, black sedan parked a block away. She shook her head. It's nothing. Yet instinct told her it was far from nothing. Meanwhile, Mr. Hen's jet cut through the night sky, carrying him silently across the Pacific. His eyes were fixed on the glowing map of Los Angeles, tracking the woman who had dared block him. He wasn't coming to punish her. That wasn't his style. He was coming to see the courage he had sensed from afar. To understand why one ordinary black woman, living in an ordinary apartment, had caused ripples strong enough to reach someone like him. And perhaps, if fate allowed, to see if she could survive the collision of their worlds. As passed, Maya, unaware, fell asleep briefly, phone on the nightstand. In her dreams, shadows merged into shapes, voices became whispers she didn't recognize, but she woke with a start, feeling the air in the room change, heavy and alert. A small, sharp vibration on her phone woke her fully. Another message. Unknown number. You can't hide. Maya's eyes whitened. She sat upright, breath shallow. This was no longer a wrong number. This was something else entirely. Across the ocean, Mr. Hen's jet descended steadily toward California. The city lights flickered below him like scattered stars. In a few hours, he would be on the ground, silently moving toward the woman who had captured his curiosity. And Maya Carter, strong, independent, cautious, would soon realize, sometimes, the world doesn't wait for permission. Some worlds are dangerous. Some people make them even more unpredictable. And Maya was about to step into a world she didn't fully understand and couldn't escape. The morning after her first encounter with Mr. Hen, Maya woke with a heaviness she had never felt before. The city outside her window buzzed with life, but inside her apartment, the air felt thick, tense, and fragile. Every sound, car horns, footsteps in the hall, distant sirens seemed magnified. Her phone vibrated. Another message. You will see me again soon. Prepare yourself. Do not fear, but do not ignore either. Maya's heart raced. She felt both curiosity and dread. She tried to go about her day, but every movement was overshadowed by the awareness that she was being drawn further into someone else's game, someone who wielded power like no one she had ever known. Later that evening, Maya found herself standing outside an upscale building she had never noticed before. It wasn't just a building, it was a statement. Sleek, imposing, and clearly guarded. Her pulse quickened. A black vehicle pulled up. The same vehicle she had seen before. Mr. Hen stepped out, calm and composed, as if he owned the world around him. Maya, he said, his tone gentle but firm. Tonight, you will understand a part of my world. You will see why it matters that you are here. Fear gripped her. She wanted to refuse, to run back into the familiar chaos of her life. But curiosity, that dangerous spark, pulled her forward. Inside, the space was unlike anything Maya had imagined. Sleek modern design, muted lights, quiet but alive with energy. Men and women moved with purpose, and every glance she caught seemed loaded with silent communication. This is your world? She asked, voice trembling. It is my responsibility, Mr. Hen replied. And soon, it will touch yours in ways you cannot yet imagine. Maya followed him through corridors, her senses alert to every detail, the subtle scented luxury, the quiet hum of technology, the precision of every action she witnessed. It was a world of control, power, and quiet danger. Mr. Hen led her to a small lounge, dimly lit, where only two chairs sat facing each other. He gestured for her to sit. "You are brave," he said softly. "Most people would have fled after that first encounter. You didn't. That makes you rare." Maya swallowed, unsure whether to feel proud or terrified. "Rare or foolish?" she asked quietly. He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he studied her, his dark eyes unblinking, calculating. Perhaps both. Courage and fear often walk together. The conversation moved slowly, deliberately, revealing glimpses of his life without fully explaining it. Maya learned that his empire spanned continents, that his influence touched countless people, that his presence was more than just wealth, it was control, power, and respect earned through fear and loyalty. And yet, there was something else, something human. Beneath the calm, calculated exterior, Maya glimpsed curiosity, admiration, and a strange connection. As passed, Maya's mind raced with everything she had seen, heard, and felt. She was overwhelmed, yet strangely captivated. Fear and fascination mingled in ways she hadn't expected. When the meeting ended, Mr. Hen walked her to the car. His gaze lingered, unreadable, yet intense. "You have choices, Maya," he said. "Paths you take now will shape the game you're in. Think carefully." The ride home was quiet, her mind spinning. She understood one thing: the world she had known was gone. The ordinary life she had taken for granted no longer existed. She was inside a realm she didn't understand, being tested at every step, and drawn deeper with every decision. Maya had entered his world, but the stakes were higher than she realized. Danger, curiosity, and choices awaited her at every turn. If you want part 5 of this story, make sure to comment below and tell us. The next episode will reveal the climax of Maya's journey with Mr. Hen and decisions that could change everything. She had survived life in America. He had ruled a world where survival meant fear. Now, the rules were changing and neither knew the cost. Maya Carter stepped back into her apartment, heart still racing from the brief encounter outside. Every fiber of her being screamed run, but her legs refused to move. She had faced challenges before, but never like this, never someone so calm, so measured, and so undeniably in control. Her mind replayed the moment, his eyes, dark and unyielding, his voice, smooth yet commanding. He wasn't angry. He wasn't aggressive. He simply existed, and somehow, that was more terrifying than outright violence. Her phone buzzed again. "Unknown number. Do not fear. I wish only to speak." Maya's fingers shook. "Speak? About what?" She typed quickly. No reply, only the subtle vibration that told her he was reading every word, calculating every reaction. Across the Pacific, Mr. Hen sat in his jet, reviewing reports on her daily life. Every decision she had made since the wrong number incident had been noted. Her independence, her caution, her refusal to beg, he admired all of it. "She has spine," he said quietly, almost to himself. One of his assistants glanced at him, unsure if admiration was the right emotion. "In my world," he continued, "spine is dangerous. But it is intriguing." By evening, Maya's paranoia had escalated. Every sound in her apartment felt amplified. The creak of the floorboard, the hum of the refrigerator, the soft buzz of her phone, all were potential signals of the unseen presence she feared. And then came the knock. A soft, deliberate rapping at her window. She froze. Her heart raced, but a part of her curiosity urged her to look. Through the blinds, she saw the shadow of a man standing outside. Calm. Still. Watching. The adrenaline surged. Fear and fascination collided in her chest. He spoke softly, just loud enough to carry inside. "Do you know why I came?" Maya's throat went dry. She didn't answer. "I don't harm without cause," he said. "And you have done nothing wrong yet. But courage draws attention in my world." She felt the weight of his words. In America, courage was survival. In his world, courage was an invitation and a challenge. "Why me?" she finally asked, voice trembling but firm. His eyes softened, not entirely, but enough to unnerve her. "Because you refused to bend. You refused to beg. You stood your ground," he said. Maya didn't understand. She wanted to. She wanted answers, but they didn't come easily with someone like him. "Come," he said, stepping back into the shadows. "There is more to see. More to understand." Her pulse quickened. Every instinct told her no, yet another voice, deep inside, whispered yes. This wasn't just fear. This was a pull, an unexplainable force that made her question everything she thought she knew about control, power, and the worlds that collided tonight. And just like that, Maya realized, the wrong number was never wrong. It was inevitable. She had survived the streets of Los Angeles. He had ruled a world where silence was obedience and fear was law. Tonight, their worlds collided and she had no idea how far she would fall. Maya's hands trembled as she stepped into the black sedan. The interior smelled faintly of leather and something sharp she couldn't identify. Outside, the city lights blurred as they drove through the quiet streets. Every instinct screamed run, but she was frozen by curiosity and something darker she didn't want to admit. "You don't have to fear me," Mr. Hen said, his voice cutting through the silence. Calm. Measured. In control. She looked up. His face was unreadable, but his eyes dark, precise, unyielding seemed to weigh her very soul. "Why me?" she asked again, softer this time. "Because you did not bend," he replied. "Because you are not afraid to stand alone. Most people in my world would beg for mercy, or cry, or run. You did none of that." Maya swallowed, trying to ignore the way her pulse raced. There was something magnetic about him. Dangerous. Calculated. And yet compelling. The car stopped. They had arrived. Maya's breath caught as she stepped out. She had never seen anything like this. A massive compound hidden behind high walls, gleaming under the moonlight. The architecture was modern, precise, intimidating. Every detail screamed wealth, control, and discipline. Inside, the mansion was quiet but alive. Lights glimmered softly, echoing off polished floors. Men and women moved efficiently, like shadows obeying silent commands. Maya felt like she had stepped into a completely different universe. "This is your world," she whispered, more to herself than to him. "Yes," Mr. Hen replied. "And you'll see why courage is noticed here." They walked down a long hallway. Her heels clicked softly, breaking the silence in a place where silence was expected. He didn't hold the door for her. He didn't speak unnecessarily. Yet every gesture, every step, conveyed authority. Maya realized she was studying him as much as the mansion. He was precise, controlled, and deliberate, a man shaped by discipline and expectation. The weight of his presence pressed against her, and she felt herself pulled into his orbit, unprepared, unwilling, and yet unable to look away. They reached a room that opened onto a balcony overlooking the city below. Lights sparkled like scattered diamonds. The ocean of the city stretched endlessly, but in this place, Maya felt like she was standing at the edge of something dangerous, exhilarating. "You see," he said, leaning slightly against the railing, "my world is not kind. Most people break here." She stared, feeling the tension coil tight in her chest. "And what about me?" He didn't answer immediately. Just looked at her. Silent. Calculating. Waiting. Finally, he said, "That remains to be seen." Maya's pulse quickened. She realized, she wasn't just a visitor here. She was a participant in something she didn't yet understand. Every glance, every word, every silent observation carried weight. And in that weight, she felt something she couldn't name. Fear, yes, but something else. Something like intrigue. For the first time since this began, she understood the truth. Her life had changed the moment her phone tapped send. And there was no turning back. She had crossed oceans, entered a world of power, and faced a man who never made mistakes. Now, the choice was hers and the consequences would echo far beyond her life. Maya Carter stood on the balcony of Mr. Hen's mansion, the Los Angeles skyline stretching below like a sea of lights. Every nerve in her body was alive with adrenaline. She had seen the world he ruled, silent, precise, disciplined, and she realized how small her own world had been. "You've seen enough," he said softly, stepping closer. His dark eyes studied her, not coldly, but with intensity. Every movement, every word, carried weight. Most people would be terrified by this moment. She swallowed, trying to steady her voice. "I'm not most people." He allowed a small, almost imperceptible smile. "That is why you are here." Her mind raced. Fear pulsed through her veins. He could command, control, dominate. Yet she felt something else, a strange pull. A curiosity she couldn't resist, a challenge she wanted to meet. "I don't understand why you came for me," she admitted, voice trembling slightly. "I was just a mistake." "Some mistakes," he said quietly, "aren't mistakes at all. They are opportunities. And courage draws attention in ways that cannot be ignored." Maya's pulse quickened. She realized the gravity of her position. One wrong word, one wrong move, and everything could collapse. Yet, one bold choice, and she could step into something entirely new. He extended a hand, not as a threat, but as an invitation. "Do you trust me?" She hesitated. Her life had been defined by control, independence, and survival. Trust was dangerous. But the pull, the inexplicable connection, was undeniable. Yes, she said finally. The word hung in the air like a spark. Mr. Hen nodded, approval in his gaze. Good. Then you will learn what courage truly means, not just to survive, but to exist in a world that never forgives weakness. The night deepened. The city below twinkled, indifferent to their moment, unaware of the collision of two lives. Maya understood that her ordinary world no longer existed. Her independence, her boundaries, her choices, everything was being tested, redefined. You've changed, he said, almost quietly. I think you have too, she replied, her voice gaining strength. For the first time, they regarded each other not as predator and prey, stranger and unknown, but as two people standing at the edge of something new, dangerous, and thrilling. Maya realized that the wrong number, the accidental message, the moment of fear had led her here. And maybe, just maybe, it had been exactly the push she needed. Mr. Hen's dark eyes softened ever so slightly. The world will try to teach you fear, he said. But with me you'll learn power. And perhaps, something closer to trust. Maya let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. The tension, the fear, the curiosity all merged into one undeniable truth. She was alive, awake, and ready to step into a new life she hadn't imagined. And somewhere in the quiet, shadowed corridors of his mansion, she felt it. The unspoken bond, the electric tension, the promise of a story that had only just begun.